You know that feeling, right? That sinking sensation in your stomach when you're watching your trade move against you? The price keeps dropping or climbing, going further and further away from where you entered. Your stop loss is sitting there, waiting to be hit. But something inside you whispers, just wait a little longer. It'll turn around. It has to. So you wait, and you watch, and you hope. And then it gets worse. Much worse. I'm not here to judge you, because I've been exactly where you are. We all have. Every single trader who's ever blown an account or taken a massive loss has experienced this exact moment. The moment when we see the warning signs flashing right in front of our eyes, but we choose to ignore them. We choose to believe what we want to believe instead of what the market is actually telling us. Today, I want to talk to you about something that nobody else wants to address. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. But it's also the most important conversation you'll ever have about your trading. We're going to talk about denial and why smart people like you and me do incredibly stupid things when money is on the line. By the end of this, you're going to recognize the warning signs that you've been missing. You're going to understand why your brain tricks you into bad decisions. And most importantly, you're going to learn how to stop this cycle before it destroys your account and your confidence. Let me tell you about a trade I took a few years ago. I saw what looked like a perfect setup. The chart was textbook. All my indicators lined up. I entered the trade with complete confidence. This was going to be a winner. I just knew it. But then the market started moving against me. Not by much at first, just a little. And that's when my brain started doing something dangerous. It started explaining away what I was seeing. It's just a small pullback, I told myself. This happens all the time. It'll bounce back. Then it moved further against me. Now my position was down 2%, then 3%. The logical part of my brain was screaming at me to cut the loss and move on. But there was this other voice, this louder voice saying, "You can't take the loss now. You've already lost this much. If you just hold a little longer, it'll recover and you won't have to admit you were wrong." Do you see what was happening there? I wasn't trading anymore. I was protecting my ego. I was in denial about what the market was clearly showing me, and I was making up stories to justify staying in a losing position. The market didn't care about my stories. It kept moving against me. By the time I finally accepted reality and closed the trade, I had lost 8% of my account on a single trade. A trade that should have been a small 1% loss if I had just accepted the warning signs and moved on. This is what denial looks like in trading. And if you've ever held a losing trade way too long, if you've ever moved your stop loss further away to give a trade more room, if you've ever averaged down on a position that was clearly going against you, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. The question is, why do we do this? Why do we ignore obvious warning signs?
Here's something you need to understand. Your brain wasn't designed for trading. It was designed to keep you alive in a world where immediate threats mattered more than long-term planning. And because of that, your brain has some built-in features that actually sabotage you when you're trading. The first one is called confirmation bias. This is when your brain actively looks for information that confirms what you already believe and ignores information that contradicts it. So when you enter a trade thinking it's going to go up, your brain starts filtering reality. It notices every tiny uptick. It finds reasons why the trade is still valid. It dismisses or downplays every signal that suggests you're wrong. This isn't a character flaw. This is how human brains work. All of us do this all the time, in every area of life. But in trading, confirmation bias is absolutely deadly because the market doesn't care what you believe. The market just is. Then there's loss aversion. Scientists have proven that humans feel the pain of losing about twice as intensely as we feel the pleasure of winning. This means that when you're sitting at a losing trade, the thought of taking that loss and making it real causes you actual psychological pain. So your brain does everything it can to avoid that pain, even if avoiding it means losing even more money later. Your brain would rather hold on to a tiny hope that the trade might turn around than face the certain pain of admitting defeat right now. This is why traders hold losing positions forever while cutting winning positions too early. We're trying to avoid pain, not maximize profit. And finally, there's something called the sunk cost fallacy. This is the belief that because you've already invested time, money, or emotional energy into something, you need to keep going to justify that investment. In trading, this shows up when you think, I've already lost this much, I can't give up now. But the truth is, the money you've already lost is gone. The only question that matters is, what's the best decision moving forward? These three psychological patterns, confirmation bias, loss aversion, and sunk cost fallacy, combine to create a perfect storm of denial. They make you blind to warning signs that are completely obvious to anyone else looking at your trade. So let's talk about what these warning signs actually look like. Because once you can name them, once you can see them clearly, they lose their power over you. Warning sign number 1. You're constantly checking your position. If you find yourself refreshing your trading platform every few minutes, if you can't focus on anything else, if you're losing sleep thinking about this trade, that's your brain telling you something is wrong. Winning trades don't create that kind of anxiety. Only trades that are going against you do. Warning sign number 2. You start making excuses. The market is manipulated. There wasn't enough volume. If it wasn't for that news event, I would have been right. The moment you start explaining why the market is wrong and you're right, you're in denial. The market is never wrong. It just is what it is. Warning sign number 3. You move your stop loss. This is the biggest red flag of all. You set your stop loss for a reason. It represents the point where your analysis is proven wrong. If price hits that level and you move the stop instead of taking the loss, you're not trading anymore. You're gambling and hoping. Warning sign number 4. You start calculating how much you need the market to move just to get back to break even. When you're focused on getting back to break even, instead of following your trading plan, you've shifted from objective trading to emotional survival mode. You're no longer making decisions based on what the market is doing. You're making decisions based on what you need to happen. Warning sign number 5. You stop talking about the trade. If you were excited to share your analysis before entering the trade, but now you don't want to mention it to anyone, that's denial. You know deep down that the trade isn't working, but you don't want to admit it to yourself or anyone else. These warning signs are your subconscious mind trying to protect you. But most traders ignore them because acknowledging them means admitting they made a mistake. And our egos really don't want to do that.
Let me be straight with you. Denial doesn't just cost you money. It costs you so much more than that. It costs you confidence. Every time you ignore warning signs and take a bigger loss than you should have, you chip away at your self-trust. You start doubting your ability to trade. You become hesitant and scared. And that fear makes you miss good opportunities because you're traumatized by the bad ones. It costs you time. Think about all the hours you've spent staring at losing positions, hoping they'll turn around. That's time you could have spent finding new opportunities, learning new skills, or just living your life. But instead, you're trapped in this psychological prison of your own making. It costs you relationships. If you're trading with money you can't afford to lose, if you're stressed and irritable because of your trading losses, if you're withdrawing from friends and family because you're ashamed of your results, that's a real cost. Trading shouldn't destroy your personal life, but denial makes it do exactly that. And most tragically, denial costs you your dreams. You got into trading because you wanted financial freedom. You wanted to be in control of your income. You wanted to prove to yourself that you could do this. But every time denial makes you hold a losing trade too long, every time it makes you ignore the obvious warning signs, you're moving further away from those dreams instead of closer to them. The real cost of denial isn't the money. It's the life you could have had if you'd just been honest with yourself. So how do you fix this? How do you train yourself to see warning signs and actually do something about them? First, you need to accept that you're going to be wrong. A lot. Even the best traders in the world are wrong 40–50% of the time. Being wrong doesn't mean you're a bad trader. It means you're a trader. The market is uncertain. No one knows what's going to happen next. Your job isn't to be right all the time. Your job is to manage risk and follow your process. Once you accept that being wrong is normal, taking losses becomes easier. It's not a personal failure anymore. It's just part of the business of trading. Second, you need to make your rules so clear that there's no room for interpretation. Don't say, "I'll exit if the trade goes against me." Say, "I'll exit if price closes below this specific level." The more specific your rules, the less your emotions can interfere. You're not making a judgment call anymore. You're just following the plan. Third, use hard stop losses, not mental stops. Not, "I'll close it if it gets there." Actual stop-loss orders in the market. This removes the decision from your hands. When price hits your stop, the trade closes automatically. You don't get a chance to talk yourself into staying in. Fourth, keep a brutally honest trading journal. After every trade, write down what you saw, what you did, and why. When you look back at your losing trades, you'll start to see the pattern. You'll see all the warning signs you ignored. And that awareness is what starts to change your behavior. And finally, find an accountability partner. Someone who can look at your trades objectively and tell you when you're making excuses. Someone who cares enough to call you out when you're in denial. This could be a trading buddy, a mentor, or even just a friend who understands what you're trying to do. Breaking free from denial isn't easy. It requires you to be more honest with yourself than you've probably ever been. But it's the only way forward.
Here's what I want you to understand. You're not broken. You're not a bad trader because you've experienced denial. You're human. Every trader goes through this. The difference between traders who make it and those who don't isn't that successful traders never experience denial. It's that they've learned to recognize it faster and take action before it destroys them. The warning signs are always there. The market is always communicating with you. The question is, are you listening? Are you willing to see what's really happening even when it contradicts what you want to believe? Trading is a mirror. It shows you who you really are when money and ego are on the line. And sometimes what it shows you isn't pretty. But that awareness, that brutal honesty with yourself, is what transforms you from someone who repeatedly makes the same mistakes into someone who learns, grows, and eventually succeeds. The next time you're in a trade and you feel that uncomfortable feeling in your stomach, don't ignore it. That's your intuition telling you something is wrong. Don't make excuses. Don't move your stop. Don't hope for a miracle. Just ask yourself honestly, what is the market showing me right now? And then have the courage to act on that truth. That's how you break free from denial. That's how you start seeing warning signs before they become disasters.
That's how you become the kind of trader who actually makes it in this game. You've got this. You're capable of doing hard things. You're capable of being honest with yourself. You're capable of change. Now it's just a matter of choosing to do it. The warning signs are there. The question is, will you finally start seeing them?